Imagine a simple lunch break that turns into a moment of chaos. What happens when a person of integrity steps up to restore order, only to face the very people meant to uphold the same values? This is the story of a black female army officer who demonstrates courage and composure in the face of injustice. Stay with us as we explore a tale of leadership, ego, and the fight for what's right. Remember to subscribe, and turn on the bell notification so you won't miss any of my stories. Now let's dive in the cozy chatter of a local diner surrounded Captain Naomi Parker as she enjoyed her lunch break. The black female army officer, dressed in her crisp, neatly ironed uniform, was a striking figure of discipline and strength. Her calm demeanor and focused eyes hinted at years of training and unwavering commitment to justice. She was halfway through her sandwich when a commotion erupted from across the room. Two patrons, a man in his mid-40s with graying hair and a younger man in his 30s wearing a baseball cap, were engaged in a heated argument over a table. "This is my usual spot. I've been sitting here every lunch hour for months," the older man declared, pounding his fist on the table. "And I've been coming here for years," retorted the younger man. "This table practically has my name etched on it. Nobody's ever bothered me before, but today, you just had to disrupt my peace." The argument grew louder, attracting the attention of diners. The manager was nowhere to be seen, and the tension escalated as the men leaned closer, their voices rising with every word. Captain Parker sighed, put down her coffee, and stood. She wasn't on duty, but as a leader and protector, her instinct to intervene kicked in. She strode to the table with authority, her presence commanding immediate attention. "Gentlemen," she said firmly, her voice calm but unwavering, "this is not the place for this kind of behavior. Let's take a step back and settle this like adults." The younger man scoffed. "Who are you to tell us what to do?" "I'm someone who believes in peace over chaos," she replied, locking eyes with both men. "Now, sit down and let's figure this out." The two men hesitated but continued arguing, their tempers flaring. Naomi didn't back down, using her experience in conflict resolution to de-escalate the situation. It wasn't easy, both men were stubborn, but her steady tone and firm presence began to cool their anger. Unbeknownst to her, a bystander had called the police. Moments later, two officers arrived. By the time they entered the diner, Captain Parker had managed to get the men to shake hands and agree to move past their disagreement. The restaurant manager arrived, thanking Naomi for her intervention. However, one of the officers, a tall man with a scowl, looked less than pleased. "You're stealing my spotlight," he said sharply, glaring at Naomi. Naomi raised an eyebrow. "I was just doing what needed to be done." "How dare you act as if I had nothing to do with this?" the officer barked. "I had this under control before you even got here." Naomi remained calm, standing her ground. "With all due respect, officer, the situation was already under control when you arrived." The officer's face darkened with anger. Suddenly, he drew his gun and pointed it directly at Naomi. The room froze. Gasps echoed through the diner as patrons ducked under tables. "Are you humiliating me?" he snarled. "Disrespecting me?" Naomi didn't flinch. She looked directly into his eyes and spoke with a voice as steady as steel. "What kind of officer are you? You should be upholding the law, not threatening violence because of your ego. Lower your weapon now." Her words cut through the tension like a blade. The officer's hand trembled as he stared at her, his rage battling against the truth of her words. Slowly, he lowered the gun. The other officer quickly intervened, disarming his partner and apologizing to Naomi. The police chief was called to the scene, and the offending officer was escorted out, his badge and weapon confiscated. As the chaos settled, the manager approached Naomi once more. "Thank you, Captain. You truly kept us all safe today." Naomi nodded, her calm demeanor intact. She returned to her table and finished her now cold coffee, reflecting on the fragility of justice and the strength it takes to uphold it, even when others falter. The manager, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a slightly wrinkled apron, approached Captain Naomi Parker once more, her gratitude evident in her voice. "Captain Parker," she began, her voice warm but slightly trembling from the lingering tension, "I cannot thank you enough for what you've done here today. You didn't just restore peace, you restored my livelihood. This restaurant means everything to me, and my patrons are the heartbeat of this place. Because of you, they feel safer here. You didn't have to step in, but you did, and for that, I'm truly grateful." Naomi smiled faintly, her eyes softening. "I just did what I believed was right. I've seen how quickly misunderstandings can spiral out of control." The manager nodded, her expression earnest. "I don't take my patrons for granted. They're not guaranteed to show up every day, and their trust in this place is everything. Today could have gone very differently. Not only did you prevent things from escalating further, but you defended yourself, and all of us, in the face of something no one should have to deal with." She placed a hand over her heart and leaned slightly closer. "To show my appreciation, Captain, from now on, whatever you want at this restaurant, it's on the house. Coffee, lunch, dinner, anything. This is my way of saying thank you for going above and beyond for all of us." Naomi chuckled softly, a rare moment of warmth breaking through her composed demeanor. "That's a very kind offer, but you don't need to do that. I was just doing my duty as a citizen." The manager shook her head firmly. "You may call it duty, but to me, it's heroism. This is my way of honoring that." Before Naomi could protest further, the other patrons began clapping. The spontaneous applause spread across the room, filling the diner with a wave of appreciation and relief. Naomi glanced around, slightly embarrassed but deeply moved. She raised a hand in acknowledgement, then turned back to the manager. "All right," she said with a smile, "but only if you let me pay it forward when the opportunity arises." "Deal," the manager replied with a grin. Naomi finished her now cold coffee, stood up, and prepared to leave. As she opened the door, she paused and looked back at the cozy diner. The atmosphere had shifted, not just from relief but from a renewed sense of community and safety. Stepping out into the afternoon sunlight, Naomi felt a sense of fulfillment. It wasn't just another lunch break, it was a reminder that even small actions could have a lasting impact. And as she walked away, she knew she'd be back. Not just for the coffee but for the connection to a place where people cared for each other, even in the midst of chaos. This story highlights the courage it takes to stand up for justice, even when faced with hostility. If this inspired you, like, share, and subscribe for more empowering tales of resilience and leadership.